By 1966, Tom Harrisson had officially retired from the Sarawak Museum and had taken up a research post at Cornell University in America. He maintained his many Borneo projects until, on his return to Sarawak on Christmas Eve in 1967, he was dealt perhaps the biggest blow of his adult life. He was forbidden entry. But why? At the Travellers Club in Pall Mall, which became Tom Harrisson's home from home when visiting from Borneo, I met his biographer, Judith Hyman. She had been his neighbour in Kuching.
It was quite a ride.
Yeah. He was eventually banned from Borneo. Why was he banned from Borneo?
When rumours started, or were continuing, about him having taken things from the museum, those rumours were then used as a basis for keeping him out. I really had an open mind. This was a man who was capable of doing very bad things, and it seemed thoroughly possible to me that even though he loved the museum, that he could have stolen things from it. But I have found no evidence of anything being in other hands.
He actually did sell a collection of expensive antiques to the Brunei Museum, but he claimed that those antiques were his private collection. The museum collection, they were all properly catalogued, that he didn't touch.
Now that I understand a bit more about it, I think it was probably a tragic mistake that he did get banned.
True or not, by then Tom Harrisson had made one too many enemies, especially among the local Malaysian nationalist leaders, and he was never to return. This banning threatened his Cornell job and left Tom in crisis. He was facing old age with no real home outside Borneo and virtually no money. He responded ruthlessly by divorcing his second wife Barbara and moving to Europe to marry a wealthy widow, a Belgian baroness.
He was offered a chance to come back and help revive mass observation in the UK. Asa Briggs invited him to come and offered to get for him a professorship.
I was never worried about whether people had formal qualifications, nor am I now. And Tom certainly was almost disrespectful of professional qualifications, but nonetheless, he wanted academic recognition.
After walking out of Cambridge 40 years earlier, Tom Harrisson had finally joined the ranks of academia.
I remember once I was trying to explain to him how to get across the campus to another room, and he kind of looked at me rather sadly and said, "I have crossed jungles, you know, Dorothy."
But in January 1976, this new chapter in the extraordinary career of Tom Harrisson came to an abrupt and tragic end in a traffic accident in Thailand.
His death was sudden and in a way almost a part of his life in which there was very considerable element of chance.
He died really in that sudden, shocking way that he lived.
Yes, it was dreadful, but we all felt that. It's probably the way Tom would like to have gone. We couldn't imagine him languishing into old age, no.
Though many people in Britain now will not have heard of Tom Harrisson, he still has several books in print, and mass observation lives on in modern opinion polls, in market research, and in television programmes that carry on the tradition of looking at ordinary life in Britain with no thesis to prove. In the long houses of Barrio of central Borneo, where he landed during the war, he is still remembered with great affection. and the old folk have written a song in his memory. Among them, his post-war local wife, Sigan. Somehow, the traditional culture of the Kelabit people he fought so hard to protect has survived into the 21st century. And in Borneo, the school he founded after the war still thrives.
I think Tom Harrisson's legacy has been to introduce education to the Kelabit people. The school that Tom Harrisson has started has produced a whole range of professionals, among them lawyers, doctors, engineers, scientists. And right now, we're very proud that one of our very own has become an anthropologist and is studying in Cambridge University, where Tom Harrisson started.
It's great to be here. It's like a dream coming true. There are times when I walk the streets of Cambridge, I think about Tom Harrisson walking the same street many years ago, barefooted with painted toenails. And I think of myself walking in the jungle barefooted.
Also in Cambridge, 50 years on, the significance of the deep skull from the near caves is now recognised.
We've ended up with dates from the skull itself from around about 35,000 years ago, and we've got evidence for the presence of people that almost certainly modern humans like the skull going back to 45,000. So that original date of 40,000 wasn't that far off on any map to do with the expansion of modern humans out of Africa around the globe. Near still is an absolutely prime site.
Harrisson left behind boxes and boxes and boxes of both paper records from the archive and also of artifacts, all labeled, indexed, and boxed, and stored in the museum for the last 50 years. These ceramics can tell us about all sorts of information about the social practices that occurred in island Southeast Asia during the last 4,000 or 5,000 years. He was the last of a breed of people who saw the world in very big terms and felt equally qualified to address any of those terms. And he did it without fear. He was able to go from people to birds, from sociology to archaeology without seeing inherent limitations.
As with archaeology, some believe that anthropology also owes him a debt.
He didn't really believe in anthropology, if you by that you mean the study of man. He didn't think there was man. He thought there were men and women and children in different places, and he felt that what he learned he was obliged to pass on as general knowledge to the world in forms that they could really use and seize.
I hope that he will eventually leave a greater legacy in the discipline of anthropology once the discipline itself realizes that maybe the real future of anthropology is in doing anthropology to help indigenous cultures rather than to try and take advantage of them.
Tom Harrisson was a pioneer of cultural immersion, turning the idea of going native into a scientific method for understanding. He was also the forerunner of a long line of people, including myself, who've used the media to introduce us to foreign cultures.
Juicy maggots.
But he was much more than that. Not only did he turn anthropology around and point it at ourselves with mass observation, he always felt that anthropology had a greater purpose, one that both increases our understanding of ourselves and protects the rights and values of those people many of us don't understand. Now, more than ever, as the identity of so many so-called primitive cultures face extinction, his goal should be one we should all share. If not, the world will surely be a poorer place.